If you're running a business in Bangladesh's fast-paced economy, you know that tax compliance can feel like trying to solve a really complicated puzzle. But what if we started looking at it differently? Not as a burden, but as a core part of your business strategy, something that actually builds a solid foundation for growth. So let's dive in and figure out how to solve this thing.
All right, here's what we're going to cover. First, we'll walk through what we're calling the compliance maze. Then, we'll get into the 4 pillars every single business needs to have in place. After that, we'll take a look at the tax authority's playbook, figure out where you might stand on the compliance pyramid, and finally, talk about how to find your own expert navigator.
Okay, so let's just start with the reality on the ground. For any modern business, especially in a dynamic place like Bangladesh, the world of tax and accounting is, well, it's anything but simple or static. It's a real maze out there. The biggest challenge? It's the sheer speed of everything. The laws, the rules, the interpretations. They're always evolving. What was perfectly fine yesterday might not be okay tomorrow. So keeping up isn't just a good idea, it's literally essential for your company's survival. And these hurdles create a kind of domino effect. The rapid changes in the law, that leads to a ton of uncertainty about how to interpret them. And that uncertainty, it sparks more and more disputes with the authorities. All of this complexity just spirals until you realize you need specialized expertise that, let's be honest, most businesses just don't have sitting on the shelf. So, given this whole complex mess, what does it actually mean to be compliant? It's not just some fuzzy idea. According to frameworks used by big organizations like the OECD, it really just boils down to 4 fundamental duties. 4 things you have to get right. And here they are, the 4 non-negotiable pillars. First, you've got to be registered. Second, you have to file on time. Third, your reporting has to be accurate. And finally, you've got to pay on time. You have to think of it like a chain. If just one of those links breaks, a late filing, one inaccurate report, the entire chain of compliance is broken. Now, let's flip the script for a second. If you really want to master compliance, you have to understand how the tax authorities think. They're not just randomly checking on businesses or picking names out of a hat. No way. They're working from a very strategic playbook, and it's all based on risk management. This quote from the OECD really says it all. Tax authorities have limited time, limited people, limited resources. They can't possibly investigate everyone. So what do? They use risk management to focus their energy where they think non-compliance is most likely to be happening. It's all about getting the biggest bang for their buck. So what does risk actually look like to them? Well, a lot of it comes down to visibility. Think about it. Income from a salary, where taxes are withheld and reported by a third party, that's super visible. Very low risk. But as you move down the line to income with less outside verification, like from a sole proprietor, the chance for mistakes or underreporting just skyrockets. And that, right there, is the high-risk zone where they're going to focus their attention. This whole idea of risk and behavior brings us to a really powerful model that helps make sense of all this. It's called the compliance pyramid. It's a fantastic way to understand the different attitudes people have toward compliance and, more importantly, how the government is likely to respond to them. So just take a second and think about this from their perspective. Based on everything you file or don't file, what story is your business telling them? Every action you take is a signal that's placing you somewhere on the risk spectrum. Now check out this pyramid. It shows something really important. The vast majority of businesses are down here at the wide base. They're genuinely willing to do the right thing. As you move up, the groups get smaller. You've got folks who try to comply but don't always get it right. Then a smaller group that doesn't want to comply. And right at the tiny top, you have the few who have actively decided not to comply at all. And when you compare the two extremes, you really see why this matters. For that huge base of willing taxpayers, the best thing authorities can do is just make it easy for them, give them help and clarity. But for that tiny group at the top, the only thing that works is bringing down the full force of the law. A one-size-fits-all approach is doomed to fail. So you're facing this maze. You know the authorities are managing risk. So the big question is, how do you make sure your business stays firmly planted in that big, supportive base of the pyramid? The key is to stop just reacting and start being proactive. Listen, this is not a journey you have to take by yourself. In fact, trying to go it alone is probably the biggest risk you can take. A real expert partner isn't just someone you hire. They are your single greatest strategic asset for getting through this landscape safely. Building a real fortress of compliance means you have to plug every single hole. An expert partner can help you across the board,
from corporate and withholding taxes to VAT services, getting registration right, and even training your own team so they know what to do. Every one of these services is another strong block in your foundation.
And that's really the bottom line, isn't it? This whole thing isn't about being scared or just ticking boxes on a form. Strong compliance is the solid ground that lets you stop worrying about all these risks and start focusing on what you do best, growing your business with total confidence and, yes, peace of mind. So I'll just leave you with this one last thought. Take a really honest look at how you approach taxes. Are you just trying to get by, kind of hoping you survive another year without any major issues? Or are you actively using compliance as a strategic tool to build a business that's not just surviving, but is set up to thrive for years to come?